Hello and welcome back to Heroic Tales TV, the show that likes to talk about superheroes as if they are modern-day Greek deities. With all of that being said, my name is Doc, and today I want to talk to you about a topic that you have likely seen if you have been on the internet at all in the past couple days. You see, the one and only Zack Snyder went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and there he said some controversial things that has gotten X or Twitter or whatever we're calling it now in a bit of an uproar, and of course I wanted to throw my 2 cents in on the situation. So essentially, if you haven't seen the clip, here it is.
I tend to get in trouble because of I do take a deconstructivist point of view because of Dark Knight Returns, because of Watchmen. If you've read those 2 comics, it's hard to go back, you know, to you want to, and it's because I care that I want to take them apart. Like I want Batman, like people are always like, well, Batman can't kill, right? So Batman can't kill is canon. And I'm like, okay, well, the first thing I want to do when you say that is I want to see what happens. And they go like, well, don't put him in a situation where he has to kill someone. I'm like, well, that's just like you're protecting your God in a weird way, right? You're making your God irrelevant if he can't be in that situation. He has to now deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, if he does do that, what does that mean?
What this boils down to are people saying that Zack Snyder and a bunch of his fans don't really understand Batman as a character, and the other side of the and the other side of this argument is saying that it's okay if Batman kills and if he takes life, if it's in service to a story or if there's something interesting being done with it. At least that's the common consensus. I do see some people out there who are kind of on the margins who say, you know, Batman should kill like the Punisher, it shouldn't really matter. And others who say, you know, there should absolutely never be a situation where Batman does even the closest thing, you know, resembling a murderous, you know, thought. So, where do I kind of fall on this, you know? Like most things, I believe the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't think Zack Snyder was trying to vilify anybody or anything like that. I don't think that he was, by saying he thought that his version of Batman should be able to kill was a dig at anybody, but I do think that there is something about Batman killing that is fundamentally flawed. There's this great line that I like from the Under the Red Hood story. I'm going to play that now.
Entire graveyards he's filled, the thousands who have suffered, the friends he's crippled. You know, I thought I'd be the last person you'd ever let him hurt. If it had been you that he'd beat to a bloody pulp, if he had taken you from this world, I would have done nothing but search the planet for this pathetic pile of evil death-worshipping garbage and send him off to hell.
You don't understand. I don't think you've ever understood.
What? What, your moral code just won't allow for that? It's too hard to cross that line?
No! God almighty, no! It'd be too damned easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by when I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others, and then end him.
Aw, so you do think about me.
But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back.
Why? I'm not talking about killing Penguin or Scarecrow or Dent. I'm talking about him. Just him. And doing it because he took me away from you.
I can't. I'm sorry.
That is so sweet.
Well, you won't have a choice. I won't. This is what it's all been about. This. You and me and him. Now is the time you decide. If you won't kill this psychotic piece of filth, I will. If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to kill me.
You know I won't.
I'm gonna blow his deranged brains out. And if you want to stop it, you're gonna have to shoot me. Right in my face!
This is turning out even better than I'd hoped.
It's him or me! You have to decide! Decide now! Do it! Him or me! Decide!
obviously, in this line, Batman says that he wants to kill the Joker, that he would like to, but he knows that if he crosses this line, it's something that he'll never come back from. And I understand that, and that makes sense. But, we have to ask ourselves why Batman even has this rule to begin with. Why does he even allow Joker to live? Well, that goes back to the core of Batman's character, of who he is, of what happened to him in that night in the alleyway. When his parents died, he promised himself that he will never take another life, that he'll never inflict somebody else, or he'll never inflict upon somebody else the pain that he went through, which is why Ben Affleck Batman seems so off-putting and jarring, because you have scenes like this, where he confronts Deadshot and his daughter in an alleyway. Like, come on, Bruce, are you really gonna corner a child and their parents in an alleyway? Does that seem something like Batman would do to you? I mean, come on, this is kind of character basics 101 with him. The other thing I see brought up a lot is that this version of Batman is supposed to be more jaded. He's supposed to be older and been through the ringer and all of that sort of thing. Of course, Zack Snyder is going to bring up Dark Knight Returns, and trust me, we're going to talk about that because I swear to God, it's the one Batman story Zack Snyder has ever read, and it kind of shows through.
There's this huge, so in Dark Knight Returns, there's a scene where, and I copied it kind of in Batman vs. Superman, where he grabs the M60, he busts through the wall, and he grabs the M60, and he's like, the guy's like, in the comic book, he's like got this kid. The mutant has this kid with a gun to his head, and he's like, I'll kill him, I swear I'll do it. And Batman says, I believe you. And he shoots him straight in the head. Because it's like a no-win scenario. It's like the Kobayashi Maru of, the Kobayashi Maru is that, in Star Trek, it's that test they put Kirk through where there's a no-win, right? Because they want to see how you'll react, right? So they say, okay, we're gonna make a scenario, a test scenario where you don't win, where there's no way to win. And in that situation, we find out what you would do in a no-win situation, because if you're going to be the commander of this spaceship, you're going to be in situations where, it's life or death, and especially when there's no tricking it, right? There's no tricking death in this case. And the famous thing with Captain Kirk is he went and hacked the machine and made it so there was a solution. Yeah. And so that was his response to the no-win situation, was create a scenario where he wins, which is cool, which is a cool character, that's a cool character move. But that's kind of how I felt. That's what they would say, don't do that to Batman. Don't put him in a no-win situation, because we don't want to see him lose. We can't see him lose. He has to maintain this godlike status. And that's what the cool thing about Frank Miller. Frank Miller said, fuck it. I want to see who this guy, if a guy, so you're saying to me that I've got a gun to this kid's head, you're Batman, there's no move, there's no trick, there's no throwing the batarang, there's no a dust ball to distract me.
Hey, editing doc here. So I had another point I wanted to bring up because I didn't address it in my video, but as I'm rewatching the clips, I noticed this. Zack Snyder says there's no situation where he can get out of it. No batarang, no dust ball, anything like that. Well, again, I think this kind of is where a lot of the fan division lies, because what us Batman fans who are supporters of the no-kill rule are saying is that, yes, he should be put in these situations, but he should be able to think of a way out of it. It doesn't have to be a batarang or a dust ball, but there should be a way to think out of it. Whereas Zack Snyder and his fans are obviously saying, well, we're creating a situation where he can't think out of it. Which, again, I just think is kind of inherently flawed. Another thing that I want to point out is that this sort of situation where somebody has a gun right to a character's head has been done before, you know what I mean? Zack Snyder keeps going on in that clip saying, well, you're telling me if I have, a gun to somebody's head right here, that, going off saying that there's nothing that you can do in that sort of situation, where it's very similar to what we just watched in that Red Hood scene. Batman has clearly been in situations like this before. He can clearly get out of them. So, I don't know. Again, I think that Zack is coming at it from a false premise. His fans are coming at it from a false start. And since this foundation is crumbly, everything he's trying to build on top of it fucking sucks. I don't know. That's just me, though. Zack Snyder's Batman is an older Batman. I understand that. And obviously he has taken a lot of cues from The Dark Knight Returns. But for whatever reason, it seems as though that this, in Zack Snyder's mind and in a lot of other comic book fans' mind, is free reign for the character to be able to kill on any occasion. First of all, I think a lot of people are misunderstanding the scenes and the moments that Zack Snyder are talking about. Like, I'm not sure that Batman actually does blow the mutant's head off like Zack Snyder claims. We're going to look at the panels in a second just to confirm that. But also, you'll see other people out there posting random comic panels, such as these or whatever. Oftentimes, these panels are out of context. They are just covers of old comics, and the actual scenes of Batman with the gun weren't in the comic book, or they're Elseworlds titles. And because of that, it's kind of silly. You know, I kind of see this argument of people who are like, well, Batman doesn't use guns. Here's pictures of him with guns. Okay. Take Injustice Superman or Red Sun Superman, and you take those guys, these bad versions of Superman, and you show those comic panels, and you go up to somebody, you say, you see, these few comic panels that I picked out confirm that Superman is a bad guy. And then you say to them, well, no, actually, those are stories that don't fully represent his character, that have actually taken his character and distorted it, and he's not the real Superman that we know. Which I think is all a lot of people are trying to say about Ben Affleck's Batman. I think a lot of people get frustrated when they see things like, oh, this is the definitive version of Batman, because we just know there's so much wrong with him in terms of comic accuracy. And because of that, it's really frustrating. Now, if Ben Affleck is your favorite Batman or anything like that, that's completely fine. Everyone has personal preferences, and you can have him as your favorite. But to say he's the most comic accurate, I mean, it's kind of laughable, especially when you have people like Robert Pattinson, Kevin Conroy, and Christian Bale in the running for comic accuracy. So talking about those specific moments, I put up the image here of the specific scene that Zack Snyder is talking about, where the mutant has the kid and Batman is in this no-win scenario where Zack Snyder just had, you know, when Zack Snyder mirrored this in his Man of Steel movie, he just had Batman murder a guy, although Batman had murdered like 30 other people up until this point, so there wasn't a whole, you know, that wasn't that bad for me. I had kind of gotten desensitized to it all at that point. But anyways, he claims that, again, this mutant was shot in the head, that his head gets blown off or whatever. Now, I see a blood spatter on the wall here, but I don't see a bullet hole in the head or anything like that, no chunk of a head missing, as, you know, you'd expect that would happen from getting shot at that close of range with a gun. So to me, I always interpret that, you know, I always saw that as it being some sort of a body shot, of it being a shoulder shot, or something like that, especially because if you keep reading the book, you get this panel, the panel where Batman holds up a gun and says, these are the weapons of cowards, and breaks them, you know, breaks it over his knee. And there's a moment when he's looking at the mutant leader and he is talking to Alfred and he says, I can't kill him because of a rule I set for myself 30 years ago. Now, if Batman had just killed a little bit ago, why does he have apprehensions about this, about killing the mutant leader? Why is Joker still alive in his universe? Well, it's a good question, I think. Why is Joker still even alive in Zack Snyder's universe? This is the biggest frustration for me. If Batman kills, why is Joker alive? We know that Joker killed his Robin, whether that's Jason Todd or Dick Grayson. You know, Snyder's crazy or whatever, so his continuity is weird, and it might have been Dick Grayson that died. After Joker killed Robin, why was he allowed to live if this Batman started killing people? You know, like literally. I've seen people defend this and they say, well, if you'll watch the so-and-so cut, I don't even fucking remember what movie it's in at this point, but where there's the nightmare scene and you have Jared Leto's Joker finally meeting Ben Affleck's Batman and the whole reach around scene and Batman says he's gonna kill him. Yeah, that's after the literal world had ended. Why did Batman wait that long? Why was Joker still, why were any of his supervillains still alive? People will often point out that Ben Affleck's Batman was supposed to go on some sort of a character arc, with this killing thing being at the center of it. And that might be true, but to be honest, that's never the vibes that I got. It seemed like every movie that he was in, they were kind of wishy-washy with what they wanted to do with the character, and they're trying to play catch-up to whatever the reviews were saying. If the reviews said he was too dark, they were going to make him more lighthearted. If they was saying he was too lighthearted, they were going to push back the other way. And you had these few months where there was just a sort of bunch of tension between where they wanted to go with Batman and DC. You know, Ben Affleck was potentially going to direct his own Batman project, and all of this other stuff. Obviously, that fell through the works, and we got Matt Reeves' Batman, and, you know, thank God for that. But I really think that DC, or DCU, whatever we're calling this, you know, Zack Snyder missed the mark with that Batman, and they really does not understand them. Again, Batman as a character was formed when his parents were killed in an alleyway, when their lives were prematurely taken from him, and he was exposed to the tragedy and the fragility of life. And because of that, Batman makes a vow that he's going to protect people from going through the same pain that he went through. He looks at criminals and he realizes that a lot of these guys still have a family. You know, there are a lot of guys out there do have children the same way that he had parents. And it's not his place just to step in and murder these people. That's what makes Batman interesting. And you say, well, oh, you can't put Batman in a no-kill situation. That you're defending your god in a weird way. No, you actually should put Batman in a situation where there's no clear win, right? But because he's Batman, he determines and comes up with a clever solution. I mean, that is the antithesis of the character. That's what he's all about. Yes, it's very interesting when you put him in a situation where it seems like the only thing he can do is kill. Because it's Batman, and him as a character, he fundamentally has to come up with a way to get around that. Zack Snyder himself mentions how in Star Trek, fucking Kirk went and kind of did the same thing. He was put in a no-win situation, so he changed the situation so he could win. That's exactly what Batman would have done. It's exactly what Batman should have done. But somehow he can't even understand that, even though he's saying these sentences mere, a couple minutes apart. Now, obviously, I'm not the first one to make all of these points. A lot of people smarter than me have made them and have enunciated them in a more coherent way than me. But I do think that at least I can understand that killing goes against Batman's core as a character, his core values, his core ideas, and most importantly, that's the core of his appeal as well. The fact that he isn't the Punisher, or he isn't Deadpool or Deathstroke, he's not any other hero or anti-hero who just chops down and guns down people left and right. The fact that he has a moral code makes him interesting, and it draws in more fans. We can see this as Batman is one of the most popular heroes ever. Of course, he's one of the oldest heroes too, but that's not to say that if it wasn't for his character being so interesting, he wouldn't still be here today. How many other old superheroes are out there that we don't hear about anymore? But all these people trying to defend Batman killing has just shocked me and has really kind of confused me. It's like, look, if you want to see Batman killing, there's a version of that character out there. It's Thomas Wayne. Go read those stories. But Bruce Wayne doesn't kill. Again, like, have we not been reading the same stories all these years?
You gotta be kidding me.
No guns, no killing.
Where's the fun in that?
Because to me, that's always been like a clear part of Batman's character. No guns, no killing. And they'll do the same thing for Christian Bale's universe, even though Christian Bale's universe makes a huge deal about Batman not killing. So it's like, kind of nitpicking at this point. What I won't defend are iterations like Michael Keaton's Batman straight up murdering people. Yeah, you're right. That's not, people are like, oh, no one's upset about that. I am. I don't think that's good shit. I think that is a bad version of Batman. Yeah, I said it. I don't think Batman should kill. I think that's bad. I think killing is bad. Yeah. I am a brave and bold YouTuber, everyone. Now, obviously, this video is all in good fun. I'm not really trying to upset anybody. If you like Zack Snyder and his films, go for it. I'm so glad that you have somebody that you like, and I think his cinematography is great. But I've never understood his writing. I don't like his characterization, and I think that he has given, he has produced some of my least favorite versions of the characters out there. But that's my personal opinion. I understand everybody has their own opinion, but I do think I can say certainly Zack Snyder is wrong when he says that Batman will become irrelevant if you have him enforce a no-kill rule. I think that's totally untrue, and there's 80 years of history, that proves it.